Welcome to the first week of this massive open online course on PL/SQL fundamentals. You are viewing the fifth video of this week using variables in PL/SQL blocks. After learning about the basic PL/SQL blocks and their sections, Jill is interested in learning about the basics of PL/SQL programming like PL/SQL variables, data types, attributes, and so on, so that she becomes competent enough in writing executable PL/SQL blocks. As with any other programming language, PL/SQL also allows you to declare and use variables in PL/SQL blocks. How do these variables help you in programming? Variables are mainly used to temporarily store data so that they can be manipulated in SQL and procedural statements. An advantage of declaring variables is reusability. You can use them repeatedly in an application by referring to them multiple times in various statements. Consider the PL/SQL statement shown on the screen. The statement retrieves first underscore name and department underscore ID from the table. If you have to manipulate first underscore name or department underscore ID, you have to store the retrieved values in variables. Variables can store any PL/SQL objects such as scalar data types, cursors, records, large objects, and so on. Shall we have a look at the rules defined by PL/SQL in naming variables? A PL/SQL variable name must start with a letter, can include letters or numbers, can include special characters like dollar, underscore, or hash, cannot be longer than 30 characters, must not include reserved words like begin, end, like, and so on. Shall we now learn how to handle variables in PL/SQL with a code example? Before using a variable, it must be declared in the declarative section of the PL/SQL block, subprogram, or package. By declaring a variable, you get a storage space allocated for its value, specify its data type, and name the storage location so that you can reference it later. You can also assign an initial value and impose the not null constraint on the variable. You can then use and assign new values to them in the executable section. You can even pass them as parameters to PL/SQL subprograms or use them to hold a return value from a PL/SQL subprogram. Let us now learn the syntax of variable declaration. In the syntax shown on the screen, identifier is the name of the variable. You can declare it as a constant by using the keyword constant next to the identifier. A constant must be assigned a value and it cannot be changed. Data type can be a scalar, composite, reference, or LOB data type. You will learn about scalar, composite, and LOB data types shortly. Optionally, you can constrain the variable as not null by using the keyword next to the data type. You can also optionally assign a value to the variable by using the assignment operator. You must assign a value if you use the not null constraint. The assigned value can be a constant or any PL/SQL expression that can be a literal expression, another variable, or an expression involving operators and functions. You can see some examples of valid variable declarations on the screen. Let us execute a small block of code using variable declarations. Examine the code block shown on the screen. The variable v_myname is declared but not initialized. A value John is assigned to the variable in the executable section. Note that string literals must be enclosed in single quotation marks. If your string has a quotation mark as in today's date, the string would have an escape character before the quotation mark as shown on the screen. The assignment operator is a colon followed by equal sign. The put_line procedure is invoked by passing the v_myname variable. The value of the variable is concatenated with the string my name is using the concatenation operator. Let us run the script now and see the output. Because the variable was not initialized in the declarative section, the first sentence in the output just shows my name is. After assigning the value John, you can see the value printed in the output. Now let's initialize the variable in the declarative section itself with the value Stephen and run the script again. Do you notice that the first sentence prints the name Stephen? It is because it was assigned to the variable in the declaration section itself. Okay, let us look at the types of variables now. At a very high level, we can categorize the variables used in a PL/SQL block as PL/SQL variables and non-PL/SQL variables. Every PL/SQL variable has a data type which specifies a storage format, constraints, and a valid range of values. PL/SQL supports several data type categories including scalar, large object, composite, and reference. Non-PL/SQL variables include host language variables declared in pre-compiler programs, screen fields in web apps, and host variables. You learn about host variables later in this lesson. Let us explore the scalar data types in detail. Scalar data types hold a single value and have no internal components. The value depends on the data type of the variable. Scalar data types can be classified into 4 categories: number, character, boolean, and date. Character and number data types have subtypes that associate a base type to a constraint. For example, integer and positive are subtypes of the number base type. The data types highlighted on the screen are known as base scalar data types. For complete information on each PL/SQL scalar data type, click the link given in the YouTube video description. These are some examples of declaring scalar variables. v_emp_job, variables to store an employee job title. v_count_loop, variable to count the iterations of a loop initialized to 0. v_dept_total_sal, variable to accumulate the total salary for a department initialized to 0. v_autodate, variable to store the ship date of an order initialized to 1 week from today. c_tax_rate, constant variable for the tax rate which never changes throughout the PL/SQL block, set to 8.25. v_valid, flag to indicate whether a piece of data is valid or invalid, initialized to true. As we already discussed, you declare PL/SQL variables to hold some values which can be manipulated later in the block. In a case where you declare a PL/SQL variable to hold database column values, you must ensure that the variable is of the correct data type and precision. If it is not, a PL/SQL error occurs during execution. Just imagine how time-consuming and error-prone it can be if you have to design large subprograms. This is where percentile type attribute comes to our rescue. Percentile type attribute is used to declare a variable according to another previously declared variable or database column. By using the percentile type attribute, PL/SQL determines the data type and size of the variable when the block is compiled. This ensures that such a variable is always compatible with the column that is used to populate it. When you use the percentile type attribute to declare a variable, you should prefix it with the database table and column name. If you refer to a previously declared variable, prefix the variable name of the previously declared variable to the variable being declared. By using the percentile type attribute, you can avoid errors caused by data type mismatch or wrong precision, and also ensure it is always compatible with the column that is used to populate it. The next type of PL/SQL variables are reference variables. Reference data types hold values called pointers which point to a storage location. For more details, refer the link given in the YouTube video description. Looking at the LOB category of data types, the LOB variables allow you to store blocks of unstructured data such as text, graphic images, video clips, and sound waveforms of up to 128 terabytes depending on the database block size. LOB data types allow efficient, random, piecewise access to data and can be attributes of an object type. CLOB, PLOB, bfile, NCLOB are some of the LOB data types. The character large object CLOB data type is used to store large blocks of character data in the database. The binary large object BLOB data type is used to store large unstructured or structured binary objects in the database. The binary file bfile data type is used to store large binary files. Unlike other LOBs, B files are stored outside the database and not in the database. Only a pointer to the B file is stored in the database. The National Language Character Large Object NCLOB data type is used to store large blocks of single byte or fixed width multi-byte NCHAR Unicode data in the database. For more details, refer the link given in the YouTube video description. Composite data types contain internal elements that you can treat as individual variables. They are available by using PL SQL collection and record variables. In a PL SQL record, the internal components can be of different data types and are called fields. In a PL SQL collection, the internal components are always of the same data type and are called elements. Associative arrays, nested tables, and V-array types are different types of PL SQL collections. You will learn about PL SQL records and collections in further lessons of this course. As we already discussed earlier, it's always suggestible to follow naming conventions while declaring PL SQL variables so as to avoid any naming ambiguities. The table on the screen displays some examples of the naming conventions for PL SQL structures that are used in this course. It's time for us to understand what bind variables are. Bind variables are variables that you create in a host environment like SQL Star Plus, SQL Developer, Oracle Application Express, or any other high-level language. They are also known as host variables. Let us examine bind variables with the help of an example. Bind variables are created in the environment and not in the declarative section of a PL/SQL block. To create a bind variable in SQL Developer, use the variable command. When created, bind variables used in SQL statements and PL/SQL blocks just like any other variable. You can reference a bind variable in a PL/SQL program by preceding the variable with a colon. To view their values, use the print statement. Let us run the script and see the output. Because bind variables are created in the environment from where you are calling PL/SQL, they are accessible even after the block is executed. Let us use p_emp_salary in a select query outside the PL/SQL block and see the output. You can see that the select query using b_emp_salary executes successfully and prints the results. Now let us modify this PL/SQL block to receive user input for the employee_ID used in the select query. To achieve this, let us declare a variable named v_empno. v_empno is declared and a substitution variable is used to receive user input. Notice the use of ampersand after the assignment operator and before the substitution variable. This ensures that whenever you execute this block, PL/SQL prompts for a user input. Additionally, let us add a statement set autoprint on after declaring the bind variable. This command automatically displays all the bind variables used in a successful PL/SQL block. Now when you run this script, the PL/SQL identifies empno as a substitution variable because of the ampersand symbol used before it and prompts for the user input. Let us enter a valid employee number and click OK. Notice how the value entered is substituted in the select query and executed. Also, how the output of the bind variable is automatically printed. The bind variable contains the salary for the employee number that is provided by the user. Before closing the lesson, shall we do a quick recap of what we learned in this video? This video introduced you to variables and their importance. You learned how to declare and initialize PL/SQL variables. You understood the differences between scalar and composite data types. You learned using percentile type attributes with variable declarations, and you also got a clear picture of what bind variables are. In the next video, you will look at other lexical units of PL/SQL like delimiters, literals, and comments. To practice what you learned, solve the assignment posted on OLL course page. We recommend that you solve the assignment before viewing the next video to gain a better understanding of the topics in that video. Please post your questions, if any, in the course forum whose link is shown here. Thank you for watching this video. Have a great day ahead.